The scent of aged paper and dried lavender was the only thing holding Lyra Bellwether together. It was a comforting, familiar smell, the signature of the shop she now owned, the Gilded Quill. Lyra had inherited the shop and the small, attached apartment from her dearest friend, Arden Price, who had passed away unexpectedly 6 weeks prior. Arden had been more than a friend. She was the sister Lyra wished she had. Lyra was sitting in the back office, the afternoon sun slanting through the dusty window, illuminating the worn leather of Arden's journal, the best friend's diary that would unravel everything. Lyra's own sister, Karina Bellwether, breezed into the shop's back room without knocking, shattering the quiet. Karina, always impeccably dressed in clothes Lyra's loans had subsidized, carried an air of entitlement so thick it felt like a physical barrier. Honestly, Lyra, you've barely opened this month. It's a gold mine. And here you are reading. What is that, some old thing? Karina snatched the antique-bound journal from Lyra's hands before she could react, her painted nails digging into the cover. Give that back, Karina. It was Arden's, Lyra said, her voice trembling not from fear, but from a sudden, cold premonition. Karina flipped through a few pages, her eyes scanning the elegant, looping handwriting. Oh, the dear departed, she scoffed, a tone of saccharine pity curdling her voice. Did she write down all her little anxieties? Honestly, that woman was always so melodramatic, always complaining about her nerves and her sudden financial strain. It's a good thing she had me around to advise her on how to cut her losses with this dusty old shop, even if she never took the advice. She paused, her eyes catching a date and a name. Lyra's name. Karina laughed, a short, sharp, ugly sound. Oh, listen to this. I worry about Lyra. She looks so tired. She must be under tremendous pressure from Karina to keep loaning her money. I'm starting to suspect Karina is fabricating these emergencies to bleed her dry, and is simultaneously planting rumors about the shop's instability to lower the appraisal value. Lower the appraisal value? How utterly paranoid. What a terrible best friend you had, Lyra, writing such things about family. Karina tossed the diary onto the desk, her face a mask of wounded innocence. The words didn't register as a shock. They landed like the final, confirming drop of water that shatters the stone basin. Lyra stared at her sister, her indignation not a sudden heat, but an arctic chill freezing her veins. You knew, Lyra whispered, the realization a physical blow. You knew I'd been lending her money for stock emergencies. You knew she was struggling. And all this time, when she asked me why her bank was questioning her credit line, or why the insurance premium suddenly spiked, you were the common denominator. Karina didn't even bother to deny it, merely rolling her eyes. Well, someone had to do it. You were both too sentimental. You know the real money is in real estate, not these trinkets. I was helping you both, clearing the path to sell this place to a proper developer. What good is this old junk? Lyra pushed back from the desk, her focus tightening. The sheer, calculated audacity of the betrayal. Arden had been the target, but Lyra had been the weapon, unknowingly used to undermine her friend's business. Also, Karina could swoop in and convince Lyra to sell the worthless inheritance. The indignity of the past 5 years flooded Lyra's mind. She started to quantify the damage, translating the emotional toll into cold, hard numbers for the first time. Year 1. The investment opportunity debacle. Karina needed $8,000 for a guaranteed stock investment that evaporated. Lyra, wanting to support her sister's new independence, drained her small emergency fund. Loss: $8,000. Year 2. The medical emergency fabrication. Karina claimed an urgent, life-threatening surgery for a child. A desperate, tearful call that pulled $12,000 from Lyra's retirement account. Loss: $12,000. Lyra later learned the child had a mild, routine procedure. Years 3 and 4. The business loan cover. These were the intermittent, smaller sums. $1, $500 here for a car repair, $3,000 there for an urgent property tax. They all added up, eroding Lyra's savings consistently. Loss: $8,000. Year 5, recent the shop crisis. Karina pressured Lyra for $5,000, claiming she needed it to stabilize the failing antique business Lyra was about to inherit, saying the appraisal would be zero otherwise. Loss: $5,000. This money, Lyra now realized, was likely just pocketed. The final tally clicked into place. A conservative estimate of over $33,000, not including the years of interest she could have earned. This wasn't love or support. It was systematic financial abuse disguised as family loyalty. And it was all designed to destabilize 2 lives for Karina's gain. $33,000, Lyra articulated, her voice low and steady, the number hanging in the air. That's what you took. That's the price of your greed. But the real cost was what you did to Arden. You poisoned her business, her confidence, her peace. You preyed on her vulnerabilities. Karina scoffed again, picking a stray thread off her designer blazer. You're being hysterical. We're family. It was shared resources. And please, Arden was always a fragile thing. Her peace was going to be disturbed anyway. You should be thanking me. Now you have the shop, and I'll help you liquidate it. We can split the proper profits once the development deal is done. Lyra knew she needed clarity. She left Karina fuming in the office and walked the few blocks to the Silver Spool, a local tailor and her longtime acquaintance, Sterling Hayes. Sterling had known both Lyra and Karina since they were children and was privy to the general gossip of the small town. Sterling, meticulously measuring a bolt of velvet, looked up as Lyra entered, his expression immediately concerned. Lyra, you look like you've seen a ghost. Not that I blame you, with all this business about the shop. It's a lot to take on. Sterling, I need you to be honest with me, Lyra said, leaning against the counter. Have you heard anything about me since Arden passed? Or maybe before? Sterling paused, his eyes flicking nervously toward the window. He put down his shears and sighed. Lyra, I'm going to tell you something you need to hear, but it comes from a place of great concern for you. Karina has been talking. Yes. She's been going around to the other merchants, your landlord, even some of the old regulars at the book club. She says she's worried sick about you. She says you've been unstable since Arden's death. That you're manic 1 minute and catatonic the next. She's even told Mrs. Albright at the bank that you're terribly erratic with money and that she's having to step in to manage your affairs. She's painting a picture, Lyra, that you are on the verge of a mental decline. The confirmation was sickening. Karina wasn't just stealing. She was systematically destroying Lyra's reputation and mental competence to gain control. It was a calculated public campaign to seize everything. The indignation solidified into cold, vengeful resolve. Lyra thanked Sterling, her mind racing. The shame was gone, replaced entirely by strategic fury. Back at the shop, Lyra went straight to her laptop. She had, out of guilt and duty, set up a small, temporary line of credit. In her own name only a month ago, linked to a general business account for Karina's emergency startup capital. The last $5,000 she'd given her. Lyra opened the account portal. Transfer funds to personal savings. Close line of credit. Done. The final transfer left Karina's business account with exactly $23.17. No sooner had the transaction complete message appeared than Lyra's phone rang. It was Karina, her voice high-pitched and frantic. Lyra, what have you done? My wire transfer for the lease just bounced. The landlord is calling me. Where is my money? Lyra, standing in the shop Arden had died fighting for, picked up an antique ivory fan from the counter, slowly opening and closing it. Your money? She asked, her voice dangerously calm. I don't know what you mean. You said you were perfectly stable, perfectly capable of managing your affairs. I simply closed a temporary, high-interest line of credit that was a drain on my assets. You'll have to solve your own crisis this time, Karina. You wanted control? Consider yourself entirely in charge of your own impending financial ruin. The silence on the line was momentary, a stunned gulp of air before Karina exploded. You cold-hearted witch. You can't do this. That money was promised. I'll sue you. I'll tell everyone what an unstable mess you are. You'll never see a dime of that shop's true value. I'm calling Bartholomew Shaw, my lawyer, first thing tomorrow. You'll regret this, Lyra. You will lose everything, starting with your precious shop. Lyra did not sleep. The threat of Bartholomew Shaw, a name that carried weight in the local legal circles for his aggressive litigation style, felt like a shadow stretching across the gilded quill. Karina was not merely angry. She was weaponizing the very narrative of erratic behavior she had manufactured, escalating the theft from covert deceit to an overt legal siege. The confrontation came precisely at 9 a.m. Lyra was downstairs, scrubbing the ancient brass cash register, finding a fierce, cleansing satisfaction in the manual labor. The front door of the shop, which she had neglected to lock in her haste that morning, burst open. Karina strode in, flanked not just by her lawyer, but by a man whose expensive suit and nervous demeanor suggested he was either Shaw himself or his highly paid associate. "This is unconscionable, Lyra," Karina spat, her face blotched with fury. "Freezing my funds. You have ruined my business opportunity, and you think you can hide in this dusty junk shop." Bartholomew Shaw, a stout man with a thinning hairline and a condescending smile, stepped forward. "Ms. Bellwether," he said, producing a thick, official-looking envelope. "My client, Ms. Karina Bellwether, is deeply concerned about your recent decisions, which appear financially unsound and personally reckless. In light of reports concerning your recent instability since the unfortunate passing of Ms. Price, we are filing an emergency petition to evaluate your competence. We believe, Lyra, that your control over this valuable asset, the gilded quill, and your personal finances should be placed under temporary conservatorship to protect you from yourself." The word conservatorship hung in the air, heavy with violation. It was the ultimate psychological attack, claiming Lyra was too broken, too mad, to own her own life, based entirely on the lies Karina had meticulously sown. Lyra put down the brass-polished cloth, her hands steady. She looked past Shaw, directly at Karina. "You worked for months, Karina, to convince people that Arden was unstable, so you could manipulate her estate. When she died, you immediately pivoted, applying the same lies to me, knowing I inherited everything. Now, you've hired a shark to declare me mentally incompetent just because I stopped financing your lifestyle." Shaw sneered. "These are wild, baseless accusations, Ms. Bellwether. We have affidavits outlining your erratic money transfers, your sudden asset liquidations, all highly suspicious behavior that suggests a volatile mental state." Lyra walked around the counter. She did not raise her voice, but her coldness seemed to draw the temperature out of the room. "The erratic transfers were dictated by my sister's fraudulent emergencies, and the sudden liquidation was simply me protecting what is mine. Now, Mr. Shaw, I have reviewed the shop security footage from the past 3 weeks. I have recordings of Karina here, pressuring Arden before her death, and then pressuring me to sell this shop for below market value. You are now attempting to execute a hostile takeover through a malicious legal procedure." Lyra's gaze landed on Karina, utterly devoid of recognition or warmth. "You are trespassing. You are attempting to intimidate an owner on her own property. You have exactly 60 seconds to leave before I call the police and file a restraining order. And Karina, understand this. You will never, ever control this shop. You will never again control my life or my money. I am not unwell. I am simply awake." Shaw started to bluster, but the conviction in Lyra's voice halted him. He glanced at Karina, who looked genuinely terrified for the first time. They were escorted out, leaving the threat of the conservatorship petition hanging like a toxic fog. Lyra knew she couldn't fight Shaw with indignation alone. She needed an ethical counterweapon. She needed a lawyer who operated on moral ground, not predatory self-interest. Through a connection Sterling had quietly provided, she secured an urgent meeting with Alastair Finch, a respected elder law attorney known for fighting abusive conservatorship claims. Alastair Finch's office was quiet and wood-paneled, a world away from the aggressive chrome of Shaw's firm. Lyra laid out the case. The diary entries, the $33,000 plus stolen, the manufactured rumors, the sudden legal attack. Finch listened, nodding slowly. This is classic predatory behavior, Lyra. It's textbook elder financial abuse. Even if the victim, Arden, is deceased and the current target, you, is merely exhausted. Your sister isn't just trying to steal money. She's trying to erase your legal identity so she can claim the asset. She's counting on the court finding it easier to side with the concerned family member than the unstable individual. He immediately validated Lyra's actions. Closing the line of credit was critical. Never fund the abuser. We will file a counter-motion citing her history of fraud and financial dependence on you and Arden. But you must, and I mean must, document everything. Every text, every call, every conversation. Assume everything you do is being watched and every word you say will be twisted. Lyra left Finch's office with a clear plan and the first sense of legal protection she had felt in years. The next few days were a blur of strategic control. First, the physical steps for autonomy. Lyra hired a locksmith to change all the shop's locks and installed high-definition security cameras, feeding directly to a cloud server only she and Finch could access. She moved her remaining $12,000 savings and the shop's operational funds to an entirely new bank, cutting all ties to the one Karina had poisoned with rumors. But she also sought out the social validation she desperately needed. She visited Silas Thorne, an 80-year-old razor-sharp neighbor who ran the local historical society and was a fierce protector of Arden's legacy. Silas, with his quiet dignity and endless supply of historical anecdotes, was her social ally, the army. Silas, I need to know. Do you believe her? Do you believe Karina that I am losing my mind? Lyra asked him directly over tea. Silas took a deliberate sip. Lyra, dear girl. Karina is a lighthouse of greed. Her light may shine brightly, but it only guides ships to the rocks. I have known you since you were a child. You mourn quietly. You work diligently. You are not erratic. You are exhausted. But I have seen the way she looks at this shop. She doesn't see history or legacy. She sees dollar signs. You are fighting for your sanity, but also for Arden's dignity. You stand your ground. We, the friends of Arden, will stand with you. His words, simple and profound, were the emotional validation Lyra needed. The shame finally dissolved, replaced by a sense of righteous purpose. With Alastair Finch handling the legal counter-motion and Silas confirming her social support, Lyra initiated the transformation. She spent $800 of her own money she would have previously given Karina, on herself. A sharp, modern haircut that framed her tired face, a new pair of tailored trousers and a silk blouse that replaced her worn shop clothes, and a blissful hour at a spa for a deep tissue massage. The money was an investment in her defense. The new exterior was a statement. I am healthy. I am competent. I am a force to be reckoned with. Karina, sensing the tightening noose of control, escalated her harassment. The calls and texts were relentless. Threats, tearful pleas, and outright lies. The judge will see your coldness, Lyra. You're going to jail for theft. Lyra, guided by Finch, documented everything and filed for a temporary restraining order. The judge, seeing the clear pattern of aggressive contact and the conservatorship filing, granted it immediately. Karina was ordered to maintain a distance of 500 feet and cease all contact, legal and personal. The silence was a brief, precious reprieve. But Karina, now cornered and legally constrained, took one last desperate, malicious leap. Lyra received a notification from Alastair Finch. Lyra, your sister has filed a report with Adult Protective Services, APS, and simultaneously submitted a letter to the court from an external physician she solicited. She is alleging not just financial incapacity, but physical and emotional neglect of self. A social worker from the state has been assigned to investigate your living conditions and mental state. They will be contacting you for a visit. She's using the state to try and declare you unfit. The ultimate institutional attack was now underway. Karina had used her financial and social network to deploy a state authority, a social worker, to investigate Lyra's sanity based on false reports of self-neglect and instability. Lyra had her allies and her lawyer, but could she successfully dismantle the authorities' assessment and stop the state from confirming Karina's fabricated narrative? Her legal freedom now hinged on her ability to prove her stability to a neutral, yet easily manipulated, third party. The summons from Adult Protective Services, APS, felt like a cold official hand reaching into Lyra's private world. The social worker, Ms. Vivian Shaw, no relation to Bartholomew, but possessing a similarly detached, bureaucratic air, arrived at the Gilded Quill precisely on schedule. Lyra, dressed in her new professional attire, waited in the shop, which was now immaculate, organized, and quietly humming with classical music. The institutional attack was designed to be invasive and overwhelming. Ms. Shaw began the interview in a measured, neutral tone, asking about Lyra's daily routine, self-care habits, and the nature of her recent grief. Ms. Bellwether, Ms. Shaw stated, consulting her clipboard, "We have received a report alleging neglect of personal finances, erratic behavior, and an inability to maintain a safe, sanitary living environment following the death of Ms. Price. Your sister has expressed deep concern for your welfare and mental stability." Lyra remained calm. Her preparedness was absolute. "Ms. Shaw, I understand you are required to investigate these claims. However, I want you to understand the context of this report. It was filed by an individual, Karina Bellwether, who is currently the subject of a temporary restraining order, and who is actively attempting to sue me for conservatorship of my assets." Lyra didn't argue, she presented evidence. She handed Ms. Shaw a concise packet prepared by Alastair Finch. The restraining order, the counter-motion detailing the history of financial abuse, $33,000+, and copies of Arden's diary entries confirming Karina's previous attempts to undermine the Gilded Quill. "As you can see," Lyra continued, gesturing to the clean, well-lit shop, "the claim of an unsafe environment is false. The claims of financial instability are projections by the person who caused the instability. The so-called erratic behavior was simply me, finally awake, protecting my property and assets from a predatory family member." Ms. Shaw was visibly taken aback. Social workers often dealt with true neglect, not calculated legal warfare disguised as welfare checks. She conducted a brief tour of the apartment upstairs. It was small, but tidy, stocked with fresh food, and equipped with the new security measures. "Your documentation is extensive, Ms. Bellwether," Ms. Shaw conceded after reviewing Finch's packet and noting the organized state of the apartment. "The evidence strongly suggests that the claimant, your sister, has a significant, documented conflict of interest and a history of financial aggression towards you and the deceased Ms. Price. I will be closing this case with a finding of accusations unsubstantiated. I will also be advising the court that the APS report strongly suggests malicious filing intended to gain leverage in civil litigation." The institutional attack had not only failed but had backfired spectacularly. Karina had tried to use the state as her tool, and Lyra's proactive documentation had turned the state's investigation into another key piece of evidence against Karina's motives. Karina, realizing the APS investigation had vaporized her most potent institutional weapon, became desperate. Lyra received a new court filing from Bartholomew Shaw. Karina had successfully obtained an affidavit from Dr. Elias Vance, a renowned, semi-retired psychologist, who stated he had conducted an informal clinical review based on Karina's testimony and observed behavior of Lyra, concluding that she exhibited paranoid ideation and clear signs of unmanaged grief bordering on mania. This was the crucial falsification of evidence, a professional opinion, obtained under false pretenses, to sway the judge. Lyra, guided by Finch, immediately identified the weak link. Dr. Vance was an old family friend of Karina's late husband. Lyra sought him out directly at his private, low-key practice. "Dr. Vance," Lyra began, sitting across from the weary-looking elderly man, "my sister Karina has obtained an affidavit from you claiming I exhibit paranoid ideation. I am here to tell you that you have been misled, and I have the evidence to prove it." Lyra calmly presented the APS report, the restraining order, and most damningly, a timeline of Karina's past financial fraud. Dr. Vance, Karina told you I was paranoid because I accused her of stealing $33,000 and trying to take my inheritance. If I show you documented proof that she did steal the money and is actively trying to seize my assets through a conservatorship, does that sound like paranoia or a rational response to verified abuse? Dr. Vance, seeing the cold, hard evidence and realizing he had potentially jeopardized his professional standing by signing a malicious affidavit based only on one side's highly biased account, paled. My God, Karina told me you were simply making up stories. She said you were distraught, overwhelmed by grief, and inventing a narrative of persecution. She fed you a lie to get your signature, Lyra finished softly. I need you to protect your reputation, Doctor. I need you to file a full, comprehensive retraction with the court, stating the affidavit was based on fabricated premises and that you retract the clinical opinion entirely. Dr. Vance, humiliated and morally cornered, nodded curtly. Consider it done, Ms. Bellwether. I cannot allow my name to be used to facilitate elder abuse. With the institutional and the falsified professional evidence dismantled, Lyra took the final preemptive step advised by Finch: professional validation. To inoculate herself against any future claims, she submitted to a rigorous neutral psychiatric and cognitive assessment by a court-certified specialist, Dr. Rhea Vance, no relation to Dr. Elias Vance, chosen specifically for her independence. The assessment included cognitive testing, emotional stability scales, and a comprehensive interview. 1 week later, Finch called with the results. Lyra, the assessment is phenomenal. Dr. Rhea Vance concluded that you exhibit above-average mental competence and sharp cognitive acuity, specifically noting your highly organized and rational management of complex legal and financial stressors. This assessment effectively destroys Karina's entire case. It proves you are not only fit to manage your affairs, but you are managing them under duress with extraordinary clarity. This positive psychological assessment became the central pillar of Lyra's defense against the conservatorship petition. With the trial looming, Lyra gathered her allies. Sterling Hayes, the tailor, and Silas Thorne, the historian, met Lyra at the shop, offering their unwavering support. They represented the community's trust in Lyra and their rejection of Karina's rumors. We will testify to your integrity, Lyra. We will tell the judge about the woman you are, not the monster Karina claims, Silas promised, his eyes shining with conviction. Lyra looked at them, these people who had chosen her over the insidious pull of family obligation. This was the family she had built, the one that validated her truth. In that moment of profound solidarity, Lyra finally allowed herself a wave of final, devastating grief. She closed her eyes, remembering the happy memories with Karina. Memories now permanently contaminated, poisoned by greed. She opened her eyes. The warmth for her sister extinguished entirely. Thank you, both of you. But I need you to understand. Regardless of the trial's outcome, the family I knew is dead. Karina is a stranger. The person I once loved is gone, replaced by a predator. This fight is irreversible. I am doing this now not for reconciliation, but for final, permanent separation and justice for Arden. Just as they finished their meeting, Finch sent a single terse email. The summons has been formally served. Trial date is set for next Tuesday. Your freedom and dignity are now officially on the line. Lyra had successfully dismantled every piece of Karina's fabricated evidence: the APS investigation, the doctor's affidavit, and the rumors of instability, by replacing them with hard, professional proof of her own competence. Yet, the final summons meant the battle was far from over. Despite the evidence, a judge would still have to decide in a public courtroom whether Lyra was fit to live her own life, or if Karina's cynical manipulation would succeed. The final high-stakes confrontation for Lyra's liberty was set. The courtroom was cold, echoing, and intimidating, a sterile theater designed for life-altering judgments. Karina sat at the petitioner's table, flanked by Bartholomew Shaw, who projected an air of aggressive, manufactured confidence. Lyra sat beside Alastair Finch, feeling the weight of the past 5 years culminating in this single, terrifying moment. Sterling and Silas sat immediately behind Lyra, a solid bastion of support. The first few hours were a grueling, tactical exchange. Shaw attempted to paint Lyra as a reclusive, grieving eccentric who had suddenly become hostile and financially reckless. Finch systematically introduced the evidence. The restraining order, the APS report confirming the malicious filing, and Dr. Elias Vance's complete retraction of his affidavit. The narrative began to pivot away from Lyra's alleged instability and toward Karina's calculated pattern of abuse. The climax arrived during Lyra's final testimony. Finch had set the stage perfectly, focusing less on the documents and more on the moral component of the case. "Ms. Bellwether," Finch prompted gently, "the petitioner, your sister, claims she is acting out of concern for your mental health and financial well-being. What is your response to that claim?" Lyra turned to the judge, a formidable woman with an expression of weary skepticism. Lyra spoke not as a defendant, but as a witness to abuse, her voice clear and resonant. "Your Honor, Karina is not concerned about my well-being. She is concerned that I finally realized the depth of her deception and cut off her funding. This petition is not an act of sisterly love. It is the final, desperate move in a 5-year campaign of theft and control. She systematically bled me of over $33,000. Money she used to fund a lifestyle she couldn't afford. She actively sabotaged my best friend Arden by planting rumors and manipulating her finances, all to lower the value of this shop so she could profit after Arden's death." Lyra paused, the weight of Arden's silent presence filling the room. The petitioner's claim of instability is based entirely on the lie that I was too naive to understand her manipulation. When I finally found the evidence in Arden's diary and took action to protect my inheritance and my sanity, she immediately tried to declare me incompetent. The only instability in this courtroom, Your Honor, is the moral instability of a person who believes she is entitled to destroy the lives of others for her own gain," she concluded, her gaze unwavering, embodying the vengeance of wisdom. "This proceeding is not about my mental health, which has been independently certified as above average. This is about my dignity. I am asking the court to reject this petition, not just to protect my assets, but to affirm that financial and psychological abuse, even when perpetrated by family, cannot be disguised as care." Karina and Shaw exchanged furious whispers, their aggressive posture deflating under the weight of Lyra's testimony and the accumulated evidence. The judge leaned forward, reviewing Dr. Rhea Vance's competency assessment one last time. She placed it down with an authoritative thud. "Mr. Shaw," the judge stated, her voice sharp, "the evidence presented today, the retraction of the clinical affidavit, the independent psychiatric assessment confirming Ms. Lyra Bellwether's competence, and the finding of the Adult Protective Services investigation, all overwhelmingly refute the petitioner's claims of instability." She continued, fixing Karina with a stern look. "Furthermore, the court finds the filing of this emergency conservatorship petition, immediately following the cessation of the petitioner's financial support by Ms. Lyra Bellwether and the filing of a restraining order against the petitioner, to be an act of vexatious litigation and malicious prosecution." The gavel struck the wood with decisive finality. The petition for conservatorship is rejected with prejudice. Ms. Karina Bellwether, the court also finds your actions to be a clear attempt at using the legal system to facilitate financial abuse and harassment. I hereby issue a permanent restraining order against the petitioner, prohibiting all contact with Ms. Lyra Bellwether. Furthermore, the petitioner is ordered to pay all legal costs incurred by the respondent, Ms. Lyra Bellwether, totaling $57,000, within 90 days. Failure to comply will result in contempt charges and severe financial penalties. The victory of dignity was complete. The courtroom immediately devolved into chaos at the villain's table. Karina, stripped of her assumed entitlement and facing massive debt, burst into hysterical sobs. Shaw frantically tried to control her, realizing his firm now faced a public relations nightmare and an enforceable payment order. Lyra observed their collapse with an absolute, detached calm. Karina's fury and despair were irrelevant. They were merely the natural consequence of her choices. Lyra felt no satisfaction in Karina's pain, only the profound relief of closure. The cycle of abuse was not just broken. It was penalized and legally sealed off. Lyra rose and left the courtroom without a word or a glance back, supported by Sterling and Silas. The woman who walked out was completely unburdened. The epilogue was written in the quiet peace of the following year. Lyra reinvested some of the money Karina was forced to pay back into the Gilded Quill, expanding the inventory to include rare, first-edition books, a passion she had deferred for years. The shop, now vibrant and bustling, was a monument to Arden's legacy, not a target for greed. Lyra discovered the joy of peace and quiet. She took the trip to the Scottish Highlands she had always dreamed of, spending 2 weeks hiking and reading, entirely unconnected from the world she had left behind. She realized that the greatest inheritance Arden had given her was not the shop, but the brutal, illuminating truth about her sister. Lyra's final moral, the wisdom she earned through the crucible of betrayal, was sharp and clear. For years, I believed that family was defined by blood, and that meant I owed Karina my sacrifice. I believed my money and my time were perpetually up for negotiation. But true freedom is the moment you realize you have the absolute right to draw the line. True freedom is choosing who deserves your time, your emotional investment, and your money. When I honored my own value and chose justice, I finally built a life that was truly mine. Lyra, standing in the sunlight of the Gilded Quill, recording the final entry for her audience, looked directly into the camera. Did you like this story? Did Lyra's final act of vengeance by wisdom resonate with you? What would you have done when faced with such calculated, familial betrayal? Let me know your thoughts and insights in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the Amália Diaries for more stories of justice and resilience.